question is from How to Japan. What kind of articles are you interested in most? By Takeshi Shimizu.
What kind of what?
What kind of articles of How to Japan? Written by Takeshi Shimizu.
Written by you, yeah. Well, I was actually right before this, what is it? Right before this podcast, or the Hapa Buddies live interview started, I was actually counting to see how many articles you've written so far, because I think that you are probably one of the top writers in Hapa Buddies. You know, I think Sato-san is up there. She like writes,
Latecomers.
You're a latecomer, but you still write a lot. I feel like you write pretty consistently, right? Yeah. So I think like when I looked it up, I think I saw at least 20 articles that you've written. Like, do you remember how many articles you've written so far?
17.
17. Okay, 17. Oh, yeah. So as I was like looking through, and I'm glad I looked through it, because if I didn't look through it, I probably wouldn't be able to come up with my favorite. But of the ones that I looked at today, and I you know what you do a great job at is kind of talking about the history of things in Japan. Like you kind of give the historical perspective of this is how things started. This is the history behind it. So there's like a lot of learning that goes when you read your articles. And as somebody who is a ramen lover, I know that you wrote an article about ramen noodles, right? Do you remember that one? Yeah,
of course.
And you know, as many of you know, like, you know, Hakata ramen, tonkotsu ramen, you know, when I go to Japan, I always have to eat ramen.
Local specials, right?
Yeah. So I think I think it was a while ago. I think it might have been one of your first articles, but it was like the birth of ramen noodles, like how ramen noodles in Japan started. So, you know, as somebody that loves to eat ramen, I mean, I naturally kind of got attracted towards that specific article.
Thank you very much. As for my article, the topic I choose for the Hapa Buddies, How to Japan, is of course from my curiosity. And the other point is I'd like to say somewhat talking with person who introduced Japan, who writing about Japan in English on the internet. I read their article and they are really, I can say, interested in Japan and so much studied about Japan is very good, but sometimes things are difficult and how can I say, wrong things or different, but it's not true. Right. Somewhat imaginary, I would like to discuss with them. They are really curious about Japan. It's very hard to say. Good thing, glad to hear that. But this point is actually not, I would like to say. This is a focal point of my How to Japan articles. So I'd like to access to the history or how can I say, something that would like to say about this topic. And only I could say, only I could explain. Only local people could explain about Japan.
Exactly.
As for ramen, ramen is from Chinese noodle, but actually it is completely different. The word itself is introduced. But ramen in Japan is a kind of series of noodles, soba noodles, udon noodles, and ramen Chinese style noodles. Ramen is not just how can I say, stretch kind of noodles. Soup is not necessary.
Right.
Japanese ramen soup is very important, like you said. Local specials proves that.
No, exactly. And you know, there's like people come to Japan, you know, with ideas that they have, you know, that they get from like mass media, but sometimes, you know, it's not all true. Everything you read on the internet is not true. Like the other article that comes to mind is sushi. You know, is sushi like a delicacy in Japan? Or, you know, right now we have, you know, like these quote unquote fast food type sushi with you know, the kaiten sushi and stuff like that. So the perception of sushi, of course, is going to be different for people living in the United States versus people living in Japan. I mean, when you talk to American people with sushi, a lot of people will call it like a delicacy. But, you know, in Japan, it's could be a delicacy, but it doesn't have to necessarily be a delicacy. And you wrote a really nice article about the difference in sushi as well. So, that's something that is always good to shed a little bit of light on and try to enlighten everybody about the culture and the history of Japan.
Okay. Thank you very much. Finally, what do you expect about How to Japan articles from my Japanese people?
What do I expect? What do you mean, what do I expect?
You mean what kind of topics or what kind of explanation or what kind of situation you'd like to know? I mean, once you access to the article about Japan written in English, are you satisfied with that? Or are there anything you want to know more?
I mean, there is really no expectations on my part in terms of like what I want people to write. What I want people to write about is what they want to write about and what they want to share about. So,
of course.
Yeah. So there's nothing.
I mean, generally, if you know about Japan, try to know about Japan, access to some article written in English about Japan. But are there something lacking? What you'd like to more about the real one?
Not necessarily with the articles. I think we have a wide variety of topics that are being covered right now that I think are very good. We got people of all different backgrounds and all different ages writing articles. So I feel like we get good perspectives on each topic. But I think, like moving forward, we definitely want to maybe start, expanding a little bit on How to Japan. Right now, it's like really the blog article focused content, but we could start, doing some other things that hopefully would attract, people from overseas and get more people to read the articles, because all of you guys write such amazing articles. There's so much thought that goes into it. There's so much research that goes into it. I know a lot of people will go out of their way to like take pictures at the local sites or ask permission to like write the article about the specific topic that they're talking about. I mean, that's as local information as you can get. That that's not information that you can just find on Wikipedia. That's something that the members in Hapa Buddies are actually doing to share to the world. So yeah, there's nothing that I particularly would like to see from, the writers. I just want the writers to continue to write and share about something they want people to know about. So, yeah.
It's for the message for Hapa, How to Japan writers. But I mean, generally, what kind of information do you know about Japan?
Do I know about Japan?
Do I need to Japan? Or you'd like to know about Japan?
Do I want to know about Japan? Man, I don't know. I mean, generally speaking, right now, man, off the top of my head, what do I want to know about Japan? Food, I guess. I mean, food is always something that I want to know about. I want to know about the local food culture. I feel like I don't know enough. I've only lived in Tokyo and Kanazawa, for a couple of years, and that's about it. But, I know that, the one thing about living in Japan is that every prefecture has a food that they are well known for. And you could even travel to every prefecture just for the food. And to like learn a little bit more about the type of food that each prefecture has to offer would be an amazing thing. Because when I used to go on seminars in Japan, doing the seminars was something I looked forward to most. But the second thing I looked forward to was eating the delicacy in each prefecture. In Sendai, I had gyutan, for example. And then when I went to like Hokkaido, for example, I had gingeskan. Is that what it's called? The meat over there. So, and, Nagoya, I had the sekai, the tori, I forgot what the, the chicken. Nagoya Kochin too. Yeah. So that is something I look forward to. I like eating food. So the more I could learn about food, the next time I go to Japan, I could look at those articles and actually try those foods out.
Okay, all set. Thank you very much for asking my question.